there's no way a nurse would be allowed to give you
Well,
this type of information.
yeah, well, let's
Oh,
get let's get some of the people back. That's why I said I
okay.
wanted to call Cap too. That's why I said I wanted to call Cap as
Oh,
well.
okay, because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's
First of all,
illegal for her to be
first of all,
discussing this.
and he black in the middle of the night. A black man, 3 o'clock in the morning, going to show up at a hospital. Talking about, let
That's
me ask you a question.
crazy.
They're gonna like, yes, sir, sit down. Let me answer your questions. They'll call the police
It's
on his
under
ass.
HIPAA. You could not give that type of information to a
and,
stranger.
yeah,
And I don't know why they would. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't mean to, be skeptical, but I can't imagine that anybody would have done that to a total stranger.
a black one at
Yeah,
that,
we
right
were
there.
we were live, and I can confirm that what he is saying is
So,
true.
one second, Tara. First of all, if the woman died on February 19th. Dr. Captain confirmed that her death certificate will say February 19th. Okay, that's when she died. All right. So, with that being said, that insurance company, there's no that vessel is no longer, they're no longer insured. Okay, she's no longer insured because she's dead. All right. So, that's where I have a hard time. Insurance companies gonna say don't. They're not like, oh wow, we'll pick it up. First thing they're gonna say is she died. She's dead. Okay, the person we had insured was her. Okay, she's dead. If anything, they can say we can cover the baby to the end of the month. You know,
Can I,
but that would probably
Jonathan?
be the one second. That'll probably be the that's the most I could say because her premium is probably paid to the end of the month. But just going on and saying we're gonna cover the baby, that they're gonna pay for the baby. The insurance company don't even know the baby's name. The baby just got a name. With that out there.
Jonathan. Jonathan. The birth certificate, sorry, the death certificate is not being produced yet. So that means the person is still alive, technically.
The person no, she's not technically still alive. Dr. Catherine, are you there, Dr. Catherine? Because Dr. Catherine already confirmed this that the date of birth, date of death is February 19th.
On the record, there's no death certificate. So technically, she's still alive because
Technically, she's not still
the
alive.
heart is still running,
Yeah, that's
dude.
not what that means. Just because a death certificate wasn't issued, that
The
she's
heart is still her heart is still
no, but
going.
she's being
She's
kept
dead.
going. She's clinically brain dead. That's why you're hearing about this case. She's not in a coma. She is brain dead.
She
She's
compared it to like whenever there's a donor, organ donor, right? The date of death is it doesn't change because they are keeping the body alive for organ harvesting. That date of death still holds. She compared it to that.
I found something that says insurance coverage after brain death depends on the type of policy and the provider. Generally, health insurance may stop covering medical expenses once brain death is declared as the person is legally considered deceased. However, there can be like different, it's on a case by case basis. So maybe they do. Maybe because of the baby.
Baby isn't that means that the insurance now transfers to the baby, and that means if I'm gonna tell you legally and Tara, just let me know if I'm correct. If they start covering that baby, then when does that coverage end for that baby?
They're not,
Okay,
look, they're not going to cover the baby per se.
exactly.
They're just not. That wouldn't happen
I
because
know that because when does it come to then once they set
but
a
I will
precedent?
say that
One
it's
second, Terry. One second.
possible they
Terry,
didn't
Terry, Terry,
issue.
Terry. One
Okay.
second. Hold on.
Yeah.
Because I believe once they set the precedent and say they're responsible for those costs for that baby, when does it end?
so babies are automatically covered under their mother's insurance. This is why if you have an insurance
The mother,
policy and you
yeah,
are
the mother's
pregnant,
dead. The mother's dead. That's why I said maybe to the end of the month. That's why I said maybe to
but
the end of the month.
does the mom even have like an insurance policy? Has that been confirmed? Like a health
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
policy?
was
yeah,
an
I'm
yeah.
sure she
RN
does.
She's an
She
at
was a
she
RN
was
at
an
the
nurse at
hospital.
RN.
Emory.
She's an
Yeah.
RN.
That doesn't mean that she paid for the insurance because
She
that's
had a
voluntary.
policy.
Yeah, she had a policy.
Look, I think there is a very strong likelihood that a death certificate was not actually issued, even though she's been declared brain dead. I mean, none of us really know this. I also suspect that because she's at Emory and her health insurance is issued out of Emory, they made the decision that they're just gonna, they're gonna eat it if, I mean, these are millions of dollars to keep someone on life support this long, millions and millions of dollars. It's a lot of money. But I think they're probably going to be working this out with the insurance company as, I would have thought they would have done in general, but I don't think her mother is responsible for this. I think, they might definitely pay until the baby is delivered, but then I don't think they're going to be paying for the baby, obviously, after that. Jonathan, none of us know. This is clearly something Emory has, I'm sure, discussed it with the insurance company, and they've probably come to some resolution. Well, you'll cover X and we'll eat the rest, right? Because after all, as we all know, in spite of the fact that what the hospital might charge is millions and millions, we don't actually know how much money this really costs the hospital, right? It's less than that.
Right.
Because
And your health, I have a life and health license. Not that that matters here because I'm not in that particular state, and each state is different. So everyone's insurance policy, you have an out of pocket, you have a maximum, right? It might be $1 million, it might be $500,000, but then after you reach that amount, if she's still covered, which that is interesting because I haven't seen that weighed in professionally when I looked at all the information that's outside of that, because she's no longer paying premiums, right? She's deceased. Technically, this person is deceased, right? So one would think that that is where the coverage expires, which is why I was bringing up, is she even covered by an insurance policy? Because she can no longer acquiesce to say any of this. She can't say if she wants to be kept alive. I don't believe that there was a DNR or even a power of attorney. Which again, all of these things end the moment that someone ceases to exist. So the issue is, I don't know if this woman had a sizable estate. I don't know if she had a home. It's not unusual for creditors to go after existing assets. So that's why I'm like, this is interesting because we really don't know, right? We don't know what type of coverage she did have up to that point, if she reached those out of pocket maximums. I'm assuming that this is all extremely expensive, because she's, her I'm gonna stop
incredibly
saying
expensive.
she.
It's not just the
Yes.
ventilator, it's all of the I mean, this is like, because when my mother went on life support, I mean, we had talked about how much it would cost, not that it mattered, but, it was, the numbers we were told were incredibly, now she had no real activity, so it was not like this, but there was a woman in a bed right next to her, or a man, I'm sorry, whose family insisted that he be kept alive even though he had no consciousness, as far as I could tell. And it was, we heard these discussions. It's an incredible amount of money that hospitals charge.
Yeah, you know what, and that's what I was saying, Mickey. That's what I was saying prior to you. Yeah, when I said that, that's what I was saying about from the moment she died. Okay, she doesn't have any coverage because that it's insurance is a key thing for health. There's no health after you're deceased. There's no health to it. Okay, and then you said the baby. That's why I said she wasn't paying any premiums. So that's why I said maybe to the end of the month, if anything. But yeah, I don't see when people sitting there saying that the insurance company will cover that. The insurance company's not in the business of paying out. They're in the business of collecting. Okay, they're in the business of trying to avoid a payout. That's why insurance executive was killed in New York. Once again, deny, litigate, whatever they say, all that shit. So I don't, Jonathan, you guys are saying that.
Brother, let me say this. Let me read this to you. Medical necessity clause in insurance policies. I do insurance for the last 20 years. The medical insurance, the clause it says, insurer may determine whether continued life support for brain dead patient, specifically for the sake of the fetus, meets the definition of medically necessity care. I'm still here at Embry, dude. I have a friend that works here. Come on. I'm telling you the facts of it.
But Jotham, the state that the what I read, right, is that the hospital is making the determination to continue this woman being brain dead, right? So it's not the family's decision. It's not her next of kin, who would be her mother, since she's not married. If she had been married to the father, then it would have been her husband. It is her mother, and her mother has been very public and vocal that the family is not included in this decision. I read what Emory Hospital stated. What they stated which is basically what a lot of they state in Texas, right? When a lot of, these what are now ambiguous under these laws that did not used to be ambiguous. This is the hospital's decision to continue the care for this woman. This is not the family's decision. And the reason they are deciding to do so is because they are referencing the state law. So I agree with JB in this instance. It is not the insurance company's mandate, because you'd basically have to read the policy. Whose behest are they doing this at? Who is giving instruction for the care of this woman? She is
Mickey,
not a ward of the state, or she is not a ward of the hospital. I think her
Mickey,
family has a very, very good lawsuit because no one is mandating her care. When you go to the hospital, does the hospital make a determination of what you need unless it's an emergency situation? Or do you get to sit up in there and say, well, I refuse this surgery. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Or you have your POA speak for you, right? Or you have like your spouse or your parent or your sister or whoever. There is no one that is making this decision for this poor young woman who is now dead other than the hospital. So I'm with JB. The hospital should be responsible for this care because this is their decision. They are not including the family in any of these decisions.
okay, so let me
But
ask a question.
but one
Mickey, let me
second,
ask a question.
let me
Let me ask
interject
one
this
Mother,
in
question.
here.
just
Let me
One
stop
interject
question.
this
asking
in.
questions about
Yeah.
fucking insurance. Nobody's paying this bill. The hospital
Hmm.
told them that she has to be a vessel to keep this baby alive because of the heartbeat bill. And then the attorney general just came out and said, no, that's not true. They made her do that to protect themselves legally. You think she's going to have to pay the bill? She's going to be able to sue the fuck out of them. What the hell are we talking about? Nobody's paying that fucking bill.
Shout out to H Town. That's all I'm saying.
Hello.
Because I was going to say that to what Lisa said, and what we keep we're only talking about two parties, but we're forgetting that this is policy. This is a law. That's what's causing all of this to be in this gray area, this law, this heartbeat law. So it's not just the hospital and the family and the insurance company. All of these entities are here because of what the law states. So Lisa, I totally agree with you.
Except when you mention like medical necessity, you might argue that the law requires this, but at the end of the day, if the Attorney General has now said, no, it doesn't, there's no way it's going to
Exactly,
fall under
Tara.
medical necessity
Right.
He
anymore
pointed out
because
that it doesn't in
because
this
the
case.
government has
Yes.
just said, nah, you did this on your own.
They
So
removed the gray from, but I remember, Tara,
right.
I asked you about policy in that gray area, right?
Yeah, no, but
That's
what I'm
why I
trying to
asked. Yeah.
say is it's between Emory and the insurance company at this point. And
And
Yes.
once
that's
again,
what I'm pointing out. So
right.
let's go to Mickey. Mickey, can you pay a death claim without a formal notification from the client? From the client's
Um,
family?
a death claim, if, but see, what are the claims up to the end of coverage? Because let me give you an example. When you leave a current job, let's just say you left a job on May 31st, right? But you went to the doctor on May 31st for things that were done, but they tell you need to get your blood work done. Well, you don't go get your blood work until June 1st. Like I said, we don't have to conjecture. This is quite simple. It happens in real life with mortgage insurance, which is why I appreciate like JB's uh, contribution, because this is insurance coverage. We're acting like these hospitals and these insurance companies are benevolent and kind. They are not. They don't give a fuck, which is why medical debt is also put on your credit report. There was just a story about the insurance company threatened to put a lien on his house and make him sell his house before it went on the news, and then someone was kind enough to pay the debt, and it wasn't even that expensive. So what I'm trying to say is, if you go to get your blood work done a day after, and we know that these companies do not bill within 2 days, right? I think Biden even approved a law that said you basically have to, bill people immediately, because in some cases it would take almost a year. We've all been there. You receive a bill like 9 months later saying, oh, you got to pay your anesthesiologist when you went to the dentist. And you're like, what the hell? So then the insurance, and they do this on purpose, by the way. So you go on June 1st and they're like, hey, you didn't even have coverage, or we're not even going to take care of this because we're not going to back up the billing. So, and also, Jotham, and you know this, there's not just one bill when you were in the hospital. different
Why are you
specialists
going
bill
to bills? I
separately.
asked a simple question. A
Well,
simple
it's
question I
not
asked, Nikki.
simple, and you should know this, sir. It's not simple. That's what
You
I'm
should
saying.
know this too.
Which is why
Yeah,
I'm explaining it this way. I'm telling you, first of all, there's not just one bill. So if it's a death bill per se, it depends because I'm the wrong person to ask these questions. If it depends on from what place am I paying it? Am I paying it from an estate? Do I have permission from the executor? Because the person is dead. The person can give zero permission for anything. Did coverage end on that day? Am I disputing it with the hospital?
But
Like that's what
Mickey,
I'm
if you,
saying.
let me
Mickey,
ask the question
Mickey,
again.
if you want,
You're going all over the place. Let
let
me
me
ask
just
a
say
simple
one
question
thing,
again.
please.
Can you pay a bill without a formal notification? That is
No, you
simple.
need to have a death certificate in order for the insurance company to pay a claim that is related to the
Exactly.
death. That
That's
is,
all I'm
you
asking.
need to get the copies of the death certificate. I think for anyone who's been there and been an executor, you understand that nobody's going to pay anything as a death benefit or a death claim without seeing a death certificate. I know there are special circumstances of people who have been dead for 5 years, you can't find the body, but this is not that case. So no, nobody would pay anything unless you got a death certificate.
But that's
And
how you
that's
set
what
up an estate account. But that's that's what I'm saying. Like if if this one young woman had a house, for example, right? Because we don't even know at what date she could have owed them $300,000 just for the care. And because didn't the poor baby have blood clots? So she could have already owed three
The
hundred
baby
thousand
never
dollars.
had. The baby didn't have blood clots. It's the
But we're
mothers
not.
who
We're
had blood
still. We're
clots.
talking about medical billing, and it's not just one bill, Jotham. Which is my point. You know that
It
from
adds
having a
up.
baby,
Everything adds up. Yes, I do know. I have
exactly.
three of them.
But all of these people are not going to follow what the hospital is doing, is what I'm saying.
Mike, Jotham, you're at the hospital now?
Yes, I just left. I just left. I was speaking to
No. I
my
want you to go
friend
back. I want you
there.
guys to you sneak upstairs and
No,
go live.
no.
No.
I just left, dude. I was speaking to my
I want you to
friend,
go
as
sneak
I
back upstairs. I
told
want you to go
you,
live.
bro. I ain't doing that. But this is what I'm saying, bro. The medical needs a formal documentation to end service. It needs a formal documentation. And with the formal documentation, the service will end. And if the hospital is not providing a formal documentation to the insurance company, the service will still continue.
But even that's not entirely certain. If she doesn't pay her
It's not.
premium, think about it. If she doesn't pay her premium, the insurance will lapse after 30 days or whatever it is, correct?
That
That
is
So,
is also
correct, Kira.
correct.
Because if
so,
she was employed and had insurance through her employer,
right.
she's no
So
longer receiving a paycheck. So technically, the insurance has probably lapsed
as
because this has been
probably
since
And
lapsed
February.
unless they
and the
paid
Exactly.
it, this is complicated. Look, these are, I don't know that how relevant any of this stuff is. I just don't think the family is responsible. We don't know between Emory and the insurance company what has been decided. I'm sure they are in discussions about this, okay? But
and
I
all I
seriously
would
doubt she can be paying premiums when she's not alive. That would probably be weird.
they'll still draft
Hey,
her
I'm
account
gonna
until
say
the
this
account
though.
is empty.
I do agree with Lisa regarding the conversation. However, once that baby is born without any type of insurance, it's default, at least in the state of Georgia, that child will be on Peachtree Medicare.
100%.
So
Exactly.
nobody's paying that shit.
And
Can
that's what I'm telling. What's her name, Rochelle? Nobody's the grandmother's not.
Nikki, although I take that as a
Y'all don't
Come
compliment.
know
on now.
shit. You're going to the hospital,
Come on
not
now.
speaking with the
Back
billing
up off of
department,
me.
speaking with the
Back
first
up off
person
of
you
me,
saw,
woman.
giving her all your hypotheticals does not prove anything
Well,
at
guess
all.
what?
Because
Allegedly,
again,
it doesn't prove
like everybody
anything.
said, she has to attend
Allegedly, it
to
doesn't prove
HIPAA. Right.
anything.
Right.
Good.
So keep your
Good
statement to
night. Good
yourself. It's
night. Good
not
night,
true.
Rochelle.
It's
Good
not
night,
true.
Hey,
And
Rochelle.
yeah, good night.
Good
One
night.
mic,
You
guys,
have a
one
great
mic.
night.
I'm tired of you guys trying to turn this into a shit show.
may
We're
I
having
say
a normal
something?
conversation. Let's have the conversation.
May I say something?
Go ahead.
So, as a nurse who's worked in end of life care for over 30 years, bodies, including neonatal children and senior adults, the one thing is like, yes, no death certificate can be issued until her body is actually off life support and dead. Number two is most of the hospitals, especially the military hospitals, a lot of them are non-profit. So, yes, they make a lot of profit, but technically they're not non-profit. And if you think in situations like this is like an extreme circumstance. No one's going after anyone. They're trying to keep this body alive, keep this baby alive and protect this baby. You know, we have a country that has just banned abortion and done all of these things, but yet no one's thinking about how that applies to this situation. So this child isn't going to be like, it's not going to be insurance. They're not going to cut it off. They're not going to stop taking care of it. They're not going to run it a bill. They're going to take care of this. The hospital and the people will take care of this person. They will take care of her fetus and then her baby until someone steps forward to take care of it. And the nonprofit will pay for it. That's it.
You know, another thing too, I think, well, I know that Emory is a research hospital in conjunction with, of course, the university, Emory University. And there's always some type of shit they come out of their ass, some type of research with they did some shit with veterans a few years ago that kind of backfired on them. So I wouldn't be surprised. I actually gonna look forward to seeing this in court um, when this whole thing settles. But they're always fucking up something.
So I'll just say this. I do agree with Rachelle and Tira. This is incredibly intricate and complex. Um, I don't believe that there's even really a precedent for this. But I do hope, and I'm pretty much sure everyone else feels this way, if they even dare to hold this young woman's estate. And Medicaid is not just something that is granted upon you. And I think that's the rub. This young lady is deceased, right? We don't know what her assets are in terms of Medicaid. That's an extremely low threshold because Medicaid is income based. She could have a home with $300,000 in equity in it, and of course, my sadness is just like for her young son, who I believe is 5 years old, that's continually having to go visit his mom when she's not here anymore. So it's just an incredibly sad case. I just hope it does not establish a precedent for a hospital making a determination of what care um, people don't need, because we know that hospitals already make this decision now based upon the coverage that you have. So and as you said, Jonathan, United Healthcare is notorious for this. They're getting sued right now for denying coverage to living, breathing beings who pay their premiums and they should cover things, but they've denied them because they were using some sort of AI algorithm. So I just can't imagine for this woman, this poor woman who is dead, and her family basically having to fight to understand this entire process when we don't even know what's going on. So it's just a very, very, very sad case all around.
So Georgia have emergency Medicaid, emergency pregnancy Medicaid. Doesn't matter your income, you apply for it once you're pregnant in the last trimester, and they'll grant it to you. It's called emergency pregnancy Medicaid.
She's dead, Jotham. She didn't apply for anything. She's
Yeah,
dead.
yeah,
Oh,
Jotham.
Father,
You keep
let,
overlooking that.
You
She's
know,
dead.
let me say this to you.
Jotham,
It's
Jotham, let me
no,
say something.
it
No,
it
Jotham,
kicks in.
one mic, Jotham, one
It's
mic.
automatic.
Jotham,
But she will have.
let me just, one second, guys. I'm about to go ahead and mute this stage because you motherfuckers don't understand that when I say one mic is one mic, it really is one mic. Jotham, I think you have an unhealthy obsession with this case, first and foremost. So, going up to the hospital 2 days in a row now. I gotta start there. Um, but I don't know. Insurance companies are businesses, okay? And unfortunately, you guys are this insurance company has every right to fight this, okay? And I don't even think it would be much of a fight. They can deny this because once again, the attorney general said that they weren't required to do this. Okay, then this should have ended that on February 19th when she died, and the baby should have expired as well. So at this point in time, if I was the mother, I would actually once the baby's delivered, I would sue the hospital, and if I was the father, the mother or the baby, the child's father, sue the hospital. Because once again, like she said, she's there in their mid 50s or whatever, and now they have to take care of this kid. Help take care of this kid. Her and her husband, the daughter's father. So and that's not what they planned on doing. They don't have the resources for it, obviously. So You know, that's something that you're sitting here, and I don't know why you're championing this thing, man. But if you want to keep going back every day, we'll have you go back every day. But you're way too invested in this thing. But hey, when you find something you're passionate about, hey, be passionate about it. That's all I gotta say, Alan.
I spent
There's
20
a
years. I spent from 18 before I went into college at 18 in the radio industry, radio and TV industry. I've worked with the greats of the greats in the industry from England all the way through the Caribbean to the top of the
Oh,
table,
what the
which
fuck
is,
are we talking about now?
yeah, I'm invested in news, bro. I build radio
Yo,
news
you were the
stations.
degrees. Okay, so Walter Cronkite and
So
Dan Rather and all
so
those.
one of the
Yo,
when you remember the Haitian president that got deported that
John
America.
Volkov, Peter Jennings. You worked with him before he passed as well, right?
No, remember the Haitian
he
president
called you Peter
that
Jennings.
America helped escape from Haiti. The plane landed in Antigua. I got paid $10,000 for that picture of that plane. The plane landed
And
in
so,
Antigua for refueling before leaving out of Antigua.
I think there's a beauty
Go ahead.
to the whole situation. I really do, because I don't think that the parents totally realize the beauty of what is going on right now, because they are going to have a replacement in a way for their daughter, and that love that they have for their daughter, they're going to have somebody to really pour that love into, and in Chance, and by them already naming the child, I think they're coming around to that, because if they were really disgruntled, they would have never given a name to this child before it was even born. And so I think they're starting to soften to it, and there's a love that they're going to be able to give this child. And I just think it's going to be in the end, I think it's going to be a positive thing and a blessing for the family. I'll land there.
100%, brother. You said it correctly.
Beautiful, beautiful.
well, with that being said, this law and all these laws, there's draconian laws, and I think they need to actually be revisited because when family members no longer can make decisions like this isn't America, guys. What the hell? We have freedom of speech, we have freedom of protest, we have freedom to do all kinds of stuff, right? But we don't have freedom. Women don't have freedom. We don't have freedom of choice when it comes to the bodies of women. Don't have freedom of choice, and they don't have and we don't have freedom to make decisions like this when they're incapacitated. That's the crazy part, And a lot of people are supporting this. The party that a lot of people are supporting the party that's behind this.
And that's the problem because I don't think anyone's even thinking about the child. Like, that's what I think people are forgetting in this whole situation. We're talking about, that the family, possibly can have, a replacement for their daughter, but no one's thinking about the child and the health of the child once it's out of the womb. And that's my biggest problem when it comes to things like this. And like, we can, and I pray that there's absolutely nothing wrong with the child. Amazing, all the things. However, if that's not the case, who's gonna pay for what it's gonna cost to have the child with all of the issues that are proposed right now? That's what I think is getting lost in this entire situation. Not to, and as I said yesterday, the fact of what that child's going to feel when they figure out what happened to their mother. Are they gonna? Who's going to help them to get past the guilt of that? Like,
The
when
guilt of what? Y'all lost your mind. There's no
what
guilt. That kid. The guilt of what?
if the child's there because and the mom's not here? You think the kid's not going to feel that? They're not going to understand that. If
You're
the
talking
child
the
is
you're talking
if the child
the long
lives
run,
and
the long
the
effect.
mother not even that long, because kid's gonna wonder where's mom at a very
Because
young
the kid
age.
the kid is not going to know who is
Nah,
mom until the
guys.
kid grows up.
Okay, all right, guys.
Not
I
disagree
think.
with that.
Oof,
Kids are gonna know that. Kids know like 5 years old. Not even
I love that mute all. I do. We start having dumb conversations, man. It's just like, look. The kid's not gonna feel guilty. The kid didn't, the kid didn't cause the mother's death. Whatever caused the mother's death, we don't know. All right. So I just like once again, we can have a conversation, guys. Let's have a real conversation. We're gonna have some conversations. Let's have some real conversation. But
My grandfather was,
well, one second,
God
Jamal.
rest his soul.
Jamal. 1 second. All right. So, guys, I think this started out as a tragedy. It started off. It started out as a people were out there. People are outraged. And now that we've gotten to the point where we've gotten, and it looks like the baby may be viable, and the fact that they named the baby, okay, prior to the baby being born, means that they're already that this family has changed their stance, and that's why the family, legally, what they if you understood what they said, they never said, oh, we wanted to get rid of it, they won't let us get rid of it, because then that would have like made it so that okay, it's easier to take their rights away. They're like, we should have just had a say in it. So now the fact that they named the baby, I think they're warming up to the baby, like Jamal was saying, and that's I was thinking about this all along. And so what started out as outrageous and a tragedy may turn out to be something beautiful. But Tara, what precedent does this set? Is this a precedent-setting case in that state?
Well, I think if the Attorney General has said what he said, then I think if this happens again, it is possible a hospital would take a slightly different take. They might ask for a judgment. They might go to the courts first, because I think it was an extraordinary thing that they did. It was very highly unusual, never happened, I think, before with this young of a fetus. So I don't know what it's, if the Attorney General hadn't said anything, then I think every other hospital would just do this if it were to happen. I mean, it obviously doesn't happen, thank God, frequently. But I don't know, based upon what he said, I think if I'm a hospital again that has this, first of all, I don't think any hospital will ever do this again without talking to the family, right? Because there will be a lawsuit, by the way, by the family for a variety of things. One is maybe that she was misdiagnosed and sent home the first day, right? They're going to claim medical malpractice, and the hospital will probably settle something there. And the second might be with not consulting with them on this. So I think presidentially they made some mistakes that, another hospital will not make. But I think probably the next time this does happen, if it does happen and it's this early, I think that they might in fact go to court. And I also think if it was a different family, and if the family could have gone to court as well, right? So we could have had some sort of legal resolution, but as I said before, this is really complex, and it sounds like the family really did want the baby to survive. They just wanted to be consulted about it. So, precedent, I don't know, Jonathan.
Well,
May
we
I
didn't say
may I
precedent
share
because
something?
if
May
if,
um,
if the precedent in the sense that if this is a successful birth, okay, uh, now because right now the longest a child has been in a parent, a deceased parent, is 117 days. This is expected to eclipse eclipse that by relatively a lot when you look at it. But 117 days is the record that they've had and have had a successful delivery. All right. So, and this is we're in February, so we're past 90 days, going into 100 days on this one. We're past we're about we're just at 90 days. 90 days. going on our way to 100 days. And so, this is going to be somewhere around, it's going to be somewhere, I don't know, 140, 150,
Did you get my message,
you know.
Jonathan? I was with a bunch
So,
of
so,
experts
so
this
what,
I was with experts today, and I put this question to a hospice leader, and he said it's probably because she's an organ donor. And she's an organ donor, probably, most likely, and they can't take the organs while she's pregnant. And
that's not true.
that she's not an organ donor?
Yeah, you're,
No,
yeah.
you're not going to tell an expert, hospice expert, that you know more than he does, Jonathan.
Okay, yeah, but I'm gonna tell you that that's not fucking true.
Hey, Jonathan, can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, no, no, no,
Um,
no. Because she's saying that they're keeping this woman alive for for freaking 6 months to harvest organs. That's not
yeah,
what's
Our
they
happening.
organs will be worn out by then. All the foreign fluids that are being pumped through it will be worn out.
Yeah, and Jonathan, Dr. Jen actually covered that last night. He said that they're using extra, so many different means to keep the organs working that they're not going to be good for anything.
That's
Dr.
correct.
Russ, Dr. Russ.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I was just reading, and I think that it'll probably only stay in the womb for 2 weeks longer. Um, I mean, I don't know if Tira agrees with me, but I think that this is such a unique fact pattern that it's hard to think that it actually will have any kind of legal precedent because the facts are so unique. Like it's not even the mother it's herself who gets to have any kind of like choice in the matter. I really do think the state really overstepped its bounds in terms of interfering and like making a decision on behalf of the family because it's not even as like this doesn't even apply in terms of like the abortion law because the abortion law would outlaw her from getting an abortion. She now like it's like the state's made a decision for her and for her family, and even though she is like past, she's could be capacitated, she's brain dead, so she's really dead, so she shouldn't be, there's no decision to be made. They should not be able to make the decision whether or not this baby stays alive or not. Like
But
she,
I don't think it's the state that made the decision, it's the hospital.
yeah. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying like, oh, well,
yeah.
like the hospital or the entity that I would say is like the like in legally is going to be like a who would have to represent the state's interests is what I'm saying, I guess, or like follow the state law. And to me, that's like they really stepped out of bounds. And even though it's such a unique fact pattern that I think that like it won't have that much precedent, I really hope the family pursues it, just because it's like you don't want to set the kind of precedent to give this kind of far overreaching power to the state. It's insane. Like this is insane overreach on the part of the state, I believe, in terms of like their rights to your body and and if this is grandstanding in any way like in terms of like trying to like implement an over complete abortion ban and like be political about it, like I think it's disgusting. And I really
I don't know if she went off on purpose or she was landed. I'm not sure. But I wasn't even thinking about this before just because it's not something that just comes to my mind. But my grandfather was born in 1922, and his mother died giving him birth. She had an aneurysm as she was giving birth. So it wasn't the same type of a situation. But the only one that was left to raise her was her 12-year-old daughter. So my grandfather's sister was 12 and raised him. And he turned out to be a great man. He would have probably been 103 right now, but God rest his soul. Uh, so my great grandmother died giving birth to him, and so there is a beauty that comes from having a living opportunity at life. And so you don't know what this child could become. So it is a great thing. I'll land there.
So I do believe a precedence will be set, just looking at the whole scope of it, because who would want to turn the switch off on the ventilator? Because you'll have to sign off and turn in the switch off, and then you'll be liable for the death of the person under the person law, and that's how the precedent will be set. That hey, if it happened once, it could happen again,
So
and
usually
that's
the
how I
patient
look
has
at it.
DNR instructions to do not resuscitate or not and put on life support. And then I mean, I don't know if anyone's had a procedure where they've had to sign off on that. I actually have. And so you sign off on that before you have any kind of procedure. But I think this was like some kind of emergency situation, or I'm not sure
Correct.
if you probably had DNR
Correct.
instructions, but if they're usually the patient signs off on that, like early on in the visit. So I assume she actually did probably have DNR instructions. And so either they went, I don't know the details, either they went explicitly against her instructions or they like, the family has no obligation to keep them on life support, but they like there's like there's the threshold as they go to is there do you want to go to extraordinary measures to keep this person alive, and those are things that you decide as a patient when you like check in and they give you paperwork. It's like, do you want them to go to extraordinary measures, do you want to have a DNR so they can't resuscitate you if you flatline, that sort of thing. So I'm
So
assuming that
Nora,
they
so even if the mother had a do not resuscitate, you also have another person within that body.
it doesn't matter. I mean,
It does
you
matter in
can't keep it
Georgia.
if it's not a viable fetus, like it really shouldn't be like considered to be like a different person because it wouldn't be able to survive without her. So how is it a viable fetus?
Once it's
It's not.
past 6 weeks
It can't
in
live without the
Georgia,
mother. So like if you are having to go against her own medical orders in order to just keep her as a vessel, like so she's just basically a fucking like test tube for the baby, basically at this point. Like that's not really like you can't really put that on the hospital. Like if that's why I think that they practice extreme overreach, because if they just had the paperwork signed off, like I don't understand what their thinking was, because basically like I would think that if she had signed off on like not having extraordinary measures to resuscitate her, and they even if they just attempted to deliver the baby like midterm or like I don't know how, like, this happened in February, so they've been holding this baby inside her for like several months. It wouldn't have survived. It would have been so in February. I think it's like almost 30 weeks now. So February, that was like 3 months ago. That's 12 weeks ago. So it would have been probably around 18 weeks. That
No, it was
it wouldn't
nine
have
weeks. It
survived.
was 9 weeks.
She was
9
9
weeks. So it was
weeks.
like
Nine
She
barely
was
weeks.
nine
Yeah, it
survived.
was
weeks
That's
21
pregnant.
weeks or
insane. So she was only
22.
Yep,
9
she
weeks
was 9
pregnant. So
weeks
she's
9
not
pregnant.
even
weeks. Yeah.
past her first trimester. They really went at like they overreached, like
no, they
That
didn't
was huge.
overreach.
That you're
yes
Georgia
right.
they
law is
did.
six. Georgia law is 6 weeks. After 6 weeks, you're a person. That's a Georgia
I
law.
Look,
think it
that
was
law
8 weeks.
is going to be challenged at some point. Like I'm surprised it has like it's taken this long for it to be challenged.
It challenged
Um,
and it stood up. They challenged it.
it's 6 weeks to
Thought
get
it
an
was
abortion.
eight
That doesn't
weeks.
mean like you have to keep your freaking body, that's brain dead alive to keep a fetus alive. And like you also like it's the law is unclear because the law is basically telling like a person that they only have a choice up until 6 weeks. Well, this person's dead. They're brain dead. So where's the choice? Who's making the choice now? You're like now it's the hospital making the decision, not even her own family making the decision, saying no, this baby's going to stay alive. Like how is that fair?
Blame your
It's the
Republican
mother of the
lawmakers.
child. She's the mother of the child is dead. Why is the hospital making the
Really
decision about what
leaders.
this child's future is?
Jonathan made a great and valid point a few days ago that elections matter mostly on the local level. If we deal with the local level of elections, we would not be having this conversation right today.
There you go.
I think the AG already said the house basically said that the hospital was overreaching. I mean, 9 weeks is pretty early, right? A lot of women don't even realize they're pregnant before their first
That
trimester.
point. That's right.
I just think
That's right.
this is crazy because we don't know what would have happened to this baby had this young woman not, died. Basically, it's a huge overreach, but I think we can all agree on that and just hope to God that this does not um, set a precedent. And I mean, I know everyone's focusing on, oh, it's a baby, but the mother is not here anymore, right? And we don't know this family's financial situation. Like I said, it's not like babies just kind of, come with $1 million from Jesus, just to help you rear that child. I certainly would not want state or government, or most certainly not a hospital and a board of directors, to make any kind of medical decisions on my behalf. And yes, pregnancy, whether you like it or not, whether you believe in the Lord or not, is a medical decision. And this woman is dead. I think it's a bit creepy, quite frankly. It's kind of like she's hosting her baby,
It's
like
like
some
they
sort of,
trying to test something out.
yeah, like an incubus or
Right.
something. It's just weird. I don't like it. It's against God. I do not like it because how do we know that God didn't want that woman and that child to die in that moment? This is creepy. It's weird. I don't like it. I hope it's not a precedent. And if I hadn't already had my 3 choo-choo bees and 3 miscarriages, I would not be in Texas. I can assure y'all. I would hightail myself to high ass
I
California
thought it was
because
in Georgia.
this is
Oh,
crazy.
you're in
This is
Texas. You're in
Georgia, but
Texas.
Hey guys, can I
Texas are
speak? It's
similar
Adrian.
states.
I would love to speak. Do you guys have a
Go
problem with
ahead,
that?
Adrian. Go,
Is
go,
that
go,
okay?
go,
Thank you
Adrian.
so much. All right. It's a baby. I mean, how awful is it that the hospital decided to keep her alive so that she could possibly have give that baby life even though she is dead? I mean, that is awful, right? Like, I don't really understand it. There was two choices to make. One choice was to end her death, have her die, and there's maybe no baby. We wouldn't be talking about this, but the hospital did make a decision to save the baby. And I get how I don't get what you're thinking, only because it's coming with this like awful thing that they're trying to save the baby, and it's just awful the way you're talking. It's to me it's like crazy. And honestly, if I was in that situation, I 100% would be so incredibly happy to know that the hospital was going to try to keep brain dead. That's fine, but keep my body functioning so that I could give birth to that baby, or however they're going to take the baby out, not give birth, obviously. But I normally don't talk at night because I'm tired. But listen, I just think if you could maybe like flip the switch here a little bit, have a little bit more empathy, because all I'm hearing is this like disgust that they're saving this baby. And I'm like, what was the alternative? Like, and what would you do if it was a family member? And if it was me, please save the baby. It's okay that I'm brain dead. And I just think you both are, and then the conversation with some of the stuff, Miki, I feel like sometimes you're giving, you're like class lessons. If this is debate the master class, then I guess I'm in the right place. But wow.
I
Anyways, thank
agree.
you for letting me speak.
I agree 100%. It's some beauty in it. I agree.
I mean, Adrian, I have a background in unfortunately dealing with a lot of estates, life insurance, health insurance, and unfortunately a lot of end of life decisions.
It's
Because I
not
do
just that
appreciate
cut and dry, Mika.
Jamal.
You know
Excuse
that.
me. May I
It's
finish, sir?
Go ahead. Yes, yes, ma'am. But I'm just
I'm
saying
not
it's
saying
not that
anything
cut
is
and
cut and
dry.
dry. That's why I was being complex with my responses when people were pushing me to say yes and no. Nothing is ever cut and dry, to be perfectly honest. Nothing is when it comes to birth, life, or death. It's just not. So no, I don't just have like an easy assessment, and that's just how my logical brain is. I literally have to think about all of the things. I have to think about that this is a huge overreach of her personal autonomy, especially as an American citizen, right?
Said you've had 3 miscarriages. If you could do
I'm
anything
not
to
finished
save
speaking.
those
My
three
God in
miscarriages,
heaven,
would
I
you
am
want
not
them to be here?
finished. No, because the world happens and God happens for a reason. If I were to question all of the things that I have no control over, then I would literally go more crazier than I probably am, because I believe in my Heavenly Father, right? Hard enough to believe. So I believe that sometimes things just happen. My children know that they have siblings that are little angels that are in heaven, and they have always known about them. I know that my uncle, because back in the day when a woman had a miscarriage, which, people have miscarriages later term, my grandmother literally had to carry my uncle for 2 months because they did not have a way to get the baby out. So I know about my uncle that would have been older than my mother. That would have been my the oldest one in the family, because our family has no problem speaking about people that are no longer here, or people that became angels almost instantly, or people that died and became angels. That's a part of life. But what I am saying is that I am not going to let my emotions, because how I feel about this matter, are completely irrelevant. I am not going to have the care for this child. I am not. I am not going to be responsible for
It's
this child.
not just about money.
Sir, may I finish? Everyone always likes to say it's not about money, but it's not your choice. It's not your home. It's not your body. It's not your baby mama. It's not your daughter. It's not. We love to conjecture and say, oh, I would do this and I would do that, but it's not up to you. What I do know is this is a huge miscarriage, no pun intended, of justice. The hospital does not have the authority or the right. It should not be able to step in and make this kind of a decision because I would not want that hospital to make that decision for me. So that's the position that I am placing myself in. Allow this woman. They should have allowed this woman to die with her dignity intact, as opposed to keeping her alive, her body alive, so that they could harvest her child. And yes, it sounds something like out of a sci-fi movie. It is disgusting to me. It is gross to me. And I pray to God that this does not set a precedent. And I'm going to land here because those are my feelings on the matter. And I'm not alone in this, which is why this poor woman's mother had to come to the media because she felt so crippled in a system that is not allowing her to make any decisions in regards to her child and what is her grandchild. So, yes, I'm standing up for their rights, regardless of my personal decisions on the matter.
Let me give my 2 cents here, if you don't mind. First of all, I'm not arguing about the abortion law, whatever the state may be, the case may be in Georgia. But as long as the state has determined that there is a human being in that body, the state has a right and the interest to protect it. That's number one. Number two, the lady is dead. We all agree that she's dead. What is the rush to pull the plug? Is it that the cost of funeral is going up or that she's going to miss her spot in heaven? She's dead. So the parents' right to bury their daughter is not denied. They will have that chance to exercise that right. Third, if let's say, the reality is the baby is born and the lady's parents doesn't want anything to do with the baby. Okay? The baby could be taken care of. We have in the system what we call adoption. Because what else would the parents want? For the baby to die? If the baby were to die, then that doesn't concern them in any way. If the baby lives, because they don't want the baby anyway. But the state has the right to protect the baby. So what is the parents worried about? If you pull the plug, your daughter will die and you will get to bury your daughter, but you don't get the right to decide the right of a baby that you wanted dead anyway, because you have relinquished both your right and the interest over the life of that baby. So where is the state going wrong here? I don't get it.
All
Except,
praises due to Allah. That was beautiful.
you know, I don't just get it. But I'll just land there for now.
Beautiful. That's beautiful because a life does mean something. And you don't know what a person will turn out to be. Like I said, I wasn't thinking about my grandfather, but he turned out to be a hell of a man. He was a hell of a man. And you know what? It wasn't about money. His 12-year-old sister raised him, 12 years old. And money wasn't, and this was in 1922. 1922, they were able to do it. So I don't think money is an issue. I don't have.
Welcome to Debate the News. Guys, if you guys are not following the podcast, make sure you guys click up the follow podcast. Make sure you guys download some episodes. Listen to me. Did I think everyone's like saving a baby, saving a baby. It was no baby to save. Okay? It was a 9-week old fetus, embryo, or whatever it was at the time. 9 weeks old. Without the extraordinary intervention from the hospital, it would have died. It would expire. So, it's crazy that people saying there's an obligation to have saved this. There was no obligation because if it's crazy. I mean, I don't know. I'm just sitting here saying, there's no other beast, no other animal on this planet. It's like it is what it is. You guys think that? So let me ask you, what about next week? Next time it happens, if it's with a 6 week old, do they do it again with a 6 week old embryo fetus? I don't know. Do they?
Yeah, Jonathan. If we are taking this argument to abortion, that's a different level of argument. Whether you have the right to abortion, you don't have the right to abortion. But the point is this: as long as you know that there is a life there, the state has the right to protect it. There is a life. When the mother is not there to exercise her right, and there is a life there, whether it's 1 day old or 1 week old, whatever the case may be, as long as there is a life there, then the state has the right to protect it. As a matter of fact, the case proves itself, these particular circumstances prove itself that there is a life there. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about 6 month old fetus, 8 months old fetus. There was a life there. Okay? So if there was no life, you could do whatever that you want. But if there is a life, the state has the right to protect the life. I'm done.
Well, and I think that blaming the hospital, we went through this yesterday because they were actually trying to make sure that they weren't going to be charged with murder and up to 7 years of prison. So it's not that the hospital chose to save the child. It's also that they don't want to be blamed for not following the law.
The life part is what's so beautiful, and it seems like we don't value it
Jesus Christ.
anymore. It's so beautiful, the life part of it. And I'm saying that as a black man in a racist America, I'm saying that the life is beautiful.
But Diana, couldn't you argue that if the hospital really cared about following the law, they would have gone to an ethics board, they would have actually figured out the law? Because it seems like after the fact, they misinterpreted the law and they didn't follow it.
I mean, what I don't understand is when the family filed the lawsuit and if that had anything to do with them not taking another direction, because the family did file a lawsuit and then they dropped the lawsuit, and the grandmother said that she basically, it's not that she would have terminated the pregnancy, but she would have definitely wanted to have a choice in it. And to now have them, name the baby and things like that, it makes you wonder what exactly took place. But absolutely, it was said yesterday that the grandmother had said that the hospital was telling them that she was going to be responsible for the bill. Absolutely, that was said because that's how Jotham went to go and do his little reporting. But there was a lawsuit, and I haven't read it. I don't know what they stated, but you are correct. I would think that they would go through an ethics committee or something. But obviously, the fear of them being charged was greater than whoever it was that they received counsel from. They probably left it up to the state.
And that's so true. And I think that's where the precedent will be set that if it happens again, and once it's 6 weeks or over, they will do the same thing again. They would say, "Hey, based on the law, this is what we are going to do," because that's the call they made to the mother. Based on the law, this is what we're going to do.
Well,
And
it
I'm
was
there.
strange yesterday that we brought up too. Um, the attorney general made it sound like no one had gone to him, right? And so if the family did this lawsuit early on when this first happened in February, and obviously I would assume they were represented, I'm surprised that the attorney for the family didn't go and notify the AG. So there's just a lot of things that are speculative right now based on the pieces of information that we have, including the mother originally, the mother of Adriana Smith originally saying that she needed assistance with medical bills.
And I think more likely it sparked the interest of the government with the lawsuit when she first filed, but then no one responded, and then now it's getting the attention it's getting. They put out a, and here's the thing: it's not the AG who put it out; it's the office of the AG, right? So let him come and file and say, this is where I stand with this, versus just coming from the office. If that is, if because if it comes from him, it bears more credence than just coming from the office, because he can backtrack and say, no, I didn't say this, right? So yeah, I land there. I was here looking for a picture. This same hospital, Emory. Um, I have my brother daughter, so she came by me to have his baby here in Atlanta, and she had, when they did the first scans, the first doctor said, we need to get rid of this baby. This is at 7 months old, because there are deformities, a lot of deformities with this baby. And my brother insisted, no way. And they had the baby at a preemie, and the baby was born with her spinal cord outside of her back, spinal bifida, right? This same hospital, and with that, um, they didn't want to do the first initial uh, birth, so we went over to Grady Hospital, and then came back over to a center, another Emory center on the north side. They're called Shower, Children's Hospital of Atlanta. Um, so with that, they did all their. Uh, it was like 12 emergency um, surgeries within 2 weeks, racking up over $200,000 within the first 2 weeks of this child, right? And this is where I say the emergency pregnancy Medicaid kicks in. They didn't even have to apply for it because of it just automatically kicked in.
Okay. Let me just say this right here. Guys, this is a teaching hospital. Okay. It's a university. And she was at Emory Decatur. All right. And they had her over there for a while. And they moved her to Emory Midtown. Yeah, just a few days ago. I really think they're experimenting on this young lady. I'm being honest with you. That's why they kept her alive. Because they had her over there, the people over there, they were able to learn off of her in this situation. And they brought her to Emory Midtown. They didn't have to bring her to Emory Midtown to deliver the baby. They could have delivered the baby over there. They're moving that. They think they're moving this woman around so that they all can have some experience and get some experience off of dealing with someone in this situation. That's my belief. Why move someone that's dead, okay, and bring them over on a respirator over here over to Emory Midtown instead of just leaving them at Emory to Decatur and delivering them at Emory Decatur? I land. I
Can
Is
I
give
there a
it.
answer that?
problem with that though, Jonathan? No, what is the
So
problem
let me say
that you
this. Let me
see
say
with
this.
that?
Emory
Uh,
Midtown Emory Midtown is a newer modern hospital than Emory Decatur. So with the Emory system has several hospitals
That
within
doesn't matter,
Atlanta.
man. She's already there. Why? She's dead. Okay, and the birth is gonna be standard. It's gonna be a C-section. It's not gonna be anything fucking difficult about the birth. They know how to do C. Matter of fact, they don't even give it. They don't even care. They can get the mother wide open. They don't have to worry about the wound.
So
Okay,
what if
so
there's a
so
comp-
wait, 1 second here. So like I said, it's a teaching hospital. They're bringing it over for the other students to get some experience. That's what I believe.
what's the problem with the experience part of it? What do you see wrong with that? I don't see anything wrong with that.
Jamal, people of a certain social economical class, they let shit happen to them. Okay, instead of making shit happen for them. Okay, they let shit happen to them. And you, my friend, sound like someone that lets shit happen to you. I land.
Well, wait a
So
minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I just asked you a simple question, brother. I'm just asking, and I respect you because I've heard some of your rooms about financial stuff, and I respect your mind and your intelligence. So I say that first. But I don't see anything wrong with people learning. You're teaching people financial shit right now. I don't see anything wrong with information being passed. I think it's a beautiful thing.
She give consent? Did she give consent? And if she did not give consent, like I said, it does not matter our emotional appeals. This is not how things work. Another
Yeah.
example, my 90-year-old grandmother, unbeknownst to us, because this was news to us, told us when she was like in her late 80s that she wanted her body donated for science. And we tried to talk her out of it because we don't really do cremations in our family, but we had to research and we learned the entire process as her family. So UT came to the house where she had passed away, lovingly surrounded by her daughters, and they take it for research, and then they cremate the body and they send the remains back to the family. But that was my grandmother's decision when she had her full autonomy, right, and her wherewithal, and we honored that as her family members despite us not wanting to do it. Like, literally, I mean, we threw a full tantrum. We did not want her to do it, but she made us agree and we did it. We honored her wishes. Do you see how that works? No one is honoring any wishes of this woman or her family. She's not a pod to, and I didn't know that they transported her to JB. How odd. I think you hit the nail on the head. They are using this woman and experimenting on her, and they don't really care about that baby. This is just, ugh. I hope the family sues them for every damn thing that they got. I hope there's a Democratic governor that comes in and these laws change in Georgia. And I hope the statute of limitations is not up for this, whether it's 5 years in the future or 10 years in the future. And I hope they sue the crap out of these hospitals. Now they have another hospital for the lawsuit. So good for them.
But
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
two
One second.
ways you
One
can
second. One
look at
second.
that.
Jamal. Let me just say this right here. Okay. It's some. I'm not a frog. Okay. Or a lab frog. I'm not a lab mouse. Okay. And that woman's not a lab frog, lab mouse, or whatever. All right. If they want to experiment, okay, then they get the they don't. You're like, what's wrong with them learning? Okay, then what's wrong with them learning? There's a lot with them wrong with them learning. Okay, because this situation, first of all, this is not a situation that this family expected to be in. And you're telling myself, what's wrong with it? Okay, they're not they haven't gotten they didn't get consent to even do this. And guys, you guys keep saying like the baby, yeah, if the baby survives, great, that's wonderful, that's beautiful, that's great. But what you guys are doing is saying that. So, at what point do we stop the state from getting involved in our lives, in our bodies, and our health decisions? That and there's nothing more personable or personal than the decisions that you have to make about yourself, your health, and your loved one's health. You don't need the state involved in that, all right? Life, liberty, and all that other shit. Okay, pursuit of happiness. Also, you don't need the government. And like I said, some people because they're used to shit happening. Like when the police come, like, oh fuck, the police here. Better just do this. Better just do that. Better just stay here and let our fucking rights get fucking taken from us. Better just stand here and any civil liberties that we may have, throw them away and let them whatever. It's just easier. No, I'd be damned, okay, if I let a child of mine, okay, in that situation stay there. Okay, fuck it. She gotta stay. If that's what's gonna have to happen, then move her to a fucking non-teaching hospital. Let's see what happens then. Let's see how they buck up then. Okay, if we gotta happen.
Okay, all right. I
All
want to
right
say
there.
you're a resident of the state of Georgia. I'm assuming because you've named a couple of hospitals and you live in the state of Georgia. So I would say that the first responsibility in this particular situation lies on the residents of the state of Georgia because they voted all this shit in. This isn't happening where I live in North Carolina. This shit isn't going on. So I think that a part of the responsibility lies with the residents of your state. First, second, it's a teaching opportunity, and I think there's some value there in that because if this comes up again, we know how to approach it and take care of it in a better way. And so I don't see anything wrong with education. I don't see it. I don't see a problem with it. I land.
It's
Well,
giving Henrietta Lacks all over again, y'all. And if you're
yeah.
not familiar with the Henrietta Lacks story, I encourage you to research it. I agree with you 10,000%, Jonathan, with this one. They know who to do this to. I absolutely agree with you. And yeah, just like Henrietta Lacks family. And I agree
Thought
with you,
about
even the
Henrietta.
research. Even with the research, who is going to benefit from this? Who is going to, they better cut them a check. Okay? They better cut them a check because no, 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 no. I agree. No, 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 no.
But even beyond that, I would like to know who's looking into why they let the mother go home in the first place. And was the situation because if she had blood clots, did y'all just not see it the day before? Did you not care? Like this is the question that I have because I'm currently dealing with a situation where the hospital didn't listen to the patient, and now she had and when she was stroking out, they thought that she was what was the word, having a panic attack, and they let her stroke out for 8 hours. So now she's sitting there trying to learn how to freaking walk again. So I understand how the hospitals can screw up, and the hospital screwed up. Period, because they let somebody go home with blood clots, and then now the next day she's brain dead. Y'all didn't see any of that previous to this. So yeah, the family has a bunch of lawsuits coming, and I absolutely believe that this is an experiment. And yes, Jamal is right in terms of the facts of the people who voted for who voted for the governors and the state laws to allow this mess is another problem. That's a whole other conversation because we have to go back up to Roe versus Wade and all that kind of stuff. They even allowed us to be in this mess to begin with. But the biggest thing that people are forgetting for whatever reason is that the rights of the mother were completely violated in this entire situation. And yes, I get it, that now there's a child that can be born and that could and like I said, and I hope that it's a beautiful child and has an amazing life and none of the things that we were talking about that could possibly happen to it. However, this cannot be the norm. And this is why we fight so hard for women to have autonomy over their own bodies. And that is the biggest problem here. Is that the mother did not have a decision in it and her family had no decision in this situation. That is a problem. And I get it. You're saying, we can save life with with the state and that's their job. But who was looking out for the mother? In this case, apparently no one because they sent her home with no treatment. I land.
And then I think that, look, medical professionals, they make mistakes. Sometimes people make the wrong call. Sometimes they misinterpret the law. Things happen. Um, but I think that I'm wondering if this situation might spur people, specifically young people, to be more specific in their medical directives. To, for example, say, if I am brain dead and I am pregnant and it's at this week's, I do not consent. I don't know how legally that would work, but if that had happened in this case, I think that would have left less gray area for the hospital to have made this decision.
And that is correct.
I'm just stuck
You
on
know
the
what I
fact
think
that
is funny?
Jamal think it's okay that they're literally experimenting on this woman and her child. Like, was a syphilis experiment okay in the name of medicine?
So
Was
with
eugenics
with this,
okay in the name of medicine? Like, did he hear the recording that Chat played last night? That this faculty physician literally on purpose cut a mother who had just given birth, a black woman, because he wanted the third year resident to know how to repair I think it was a level 4 laceration. He stuck a blade in her vagina and a blade in her anus and snipped it on purpose,
did an episiotomy.
just so this person could learn how to repair and stitch it up. That's in the name of education. It was a faculty doctor that did it, teaching a third year resident. There was a med student who was still in medical school and then present, and she told the story in the name of education and learning. Jamal, stop it.
So I look. I mean, I don't want to be. Uh, I really don't want to die on this hill. But I will say this, like what you just described in episiotomy. The only reason why I know anything about that is because I have a lot of children, and one of my children's mothers, which happened to be my wife at the time, ended up going through that, giving birth to one of my children. And so thank God that the doctor who delivered knew how to handle an episiotomy, and so there was a learning that took place. I don't know how they learned, but they knew how to handle it. And so these are things that need to be known when you're doing stuff like childbirth and you're going through situations like an episiotomy.
So you're
But
saying it was okay that was
I'm
purposely and
saying
intentionally
that
done?
I'm saying that
Was that
in
okay
real
that it was
I'm saying
intentionally
in
done?
real life, one of my children was born,
Okay, fine.
and
That
my
happened in real
wife,
life. Mm-hmm.
and so the doctor who performed the episiotomy and took care of the stitching
Mm-hmm.
of my wife at the time
Mm-hmm.
had to learn from someplace.
So do you believe he learned from them intentionally
I
or
don't know.
purposely
I have no idea.
causing harm
I
to
have
a
no
woman
idea.
who didn't
But
even know
thank
that was
God he
taking
knew.
place? But
I
so
don't know
so
how they
so you're
taught him.
so are you saying that it's okay what this faculty doctor did so that this resident could learn how to do it with this woman who had given birth and could not consent for them
All
to
I'm
do that?
saying is,
What was it okay?
I thank
I'm just
God
asking you, was it
that the
okay?
doctor
Fine,
that
fine.
handled my
Mm-hmm.
wife's episiotomy
Thank God
in
for
real
that.
time,
Thank God for that. You're
thank
not
God
answering my
he knew how
question.
to handle. And
And
so
you're
how
not
they
answering
learn
my
how to,
question.
I don't know how they learn. I'm not
Okay,
a doctor,
you're
so
not
I don't
answering
know
my
how they learn.
question. Do
Jamal,
you
Jamal,
think it
And
was
he
okay?
don't they learn
Jamal.
on cadavers? Why would they ever do that
I
on
don't
a
know
real
how. I
person
don't
for
know. I don't know. If you want to ask
Because
me
you
how
won't
to
answer
park
my
a
question.
sim, I don't know. I can tell you how to park a semi truck,
You
but I
won't
can't
answer the
tell you how to
question
perform a episiotomy. I
in
don't
real
know.
and live that a faculty doctor purposely
I
and
could teach you how to
intentionally
park a truck,
did that. So you're
but
saying that's
I don't
okay.
know.
You're
I
saying, but
don't
I'm
know.
asking you
All
about
that's
this
what I'm
specific
saying.
situation.
I don't know.
So was it okay for syphilis for the syphilis experiment on black men in the name of learning? Was that
As
okay?
far as a syphilis experiment,
Was
I
that
think that's
okay?
totally not okay.
Jamal and
There you have it.
Rachel, listen, especially when the woman can actually give birth. But for an instructor to deliberately, when the woman can actually give birth, doesn't need that procedure, and they do it without even her consent, it's not good. Jamal, everything you're saying is right, but there's one thing that you refuse to understand, especially when you do not consent. If you don't consent, nobody has right to do anything to you with your body.
That is the thing. Take it, quite all right. You're
Absolutely,
learning.
absolutely,
Everybody wants to
absolutely.
learn, but you
Okay.
fail to realize that it has to be consented. That's the question here. That is the answer.
I hate
And
to
I take that answer.
let,
I take that.
no, no, don't die on that yet. Okay. Let me tell you why you guys are completely way off point here. Your argument is not going to hold water. Uh, First of all, a teaching hospital has the best of the specialists in them. That's why it's a teaching hospital. And when you're talking about transferring her there, that's a decision that the hospital has to make based on the kind of infrastructure that they have in place. But you can't say that there is no consent because this lady was an organ donor. You guys forgot that part. She's an organ donor. Being an organ donor, you have implicitly and explicitly consented for your organ to be used in any way that they choose for the helping of not only preserving life, another life, but medically anywhere that is appropriate. So there is a consent there. Your argument doesn't it's not gonna fly on this.
So are
But
you
I
speaking
just love
about the question I asked him, Sir Jude, or the lady who's brain dead? Which one are you talking about?
I'm talking about the lady that is brain dead.
Oh, okay. No, my question was about a woman who had actually given birth
Hmm.
and she did not give consent. A faculty doctor asked a third year resident in the OR if he had ever repaired a fourth degree laceration. And he said no. So he intentionally stuck a blade in the woman's vagina and stuck one in her anus and snipped it to create the laceration so that third year resident student could have practice repairing it, and a student who was still in med school was in the OR and she reported it. So that's what I'm saying is that this
No,
woman, nothing was wrong with her. She gave birth. She didn't have any fourth degree lacerations. The faculty doctor created it just so that third year residency could learn how to repair it.
the
Was that okay?
the fact pattern that you just gave is criminal. That's an assault. There is no legal medical basis. You cannot create a wound where none existed and where there is no medical basis. Teaching somebody does not create a medical necessity for you to inflict an injury to do that. That's criminal. That doctor should actually lose his license.
Exactly. And that's what I was trying to get Jamal to understand, but apparently he just can't even use
What
logic
what I said,
logic for that.
what I said was, and I'll say this.
I
I'll
asked you
say this.
about that
Uh, I,
situation
I,
specifically, nothing else, not
I'll
you, not your
I'll
wife,
say this.
not your
I'll
personal
say this.
story. I asked you
I'll say
about
this.
that situation specifically.
If I could speak without you talking over me, I'd like to say something. Please. What I'll say is my child was macrosomic. That means he weighed over 12 pounds. And he busted that section of my wife. And the doctor who repaired it knew what he was doing and was able to fix it where she was made whole. So now, if the doctor that you're referring to just lacerated this woman and then taught another how to stitch it up, the brother has already said, I feel that's criminal. And I would agree with that.
That's literally what I asked you. That's what
I
I
would
asked you.
agree
But
with
now
that.
you
But
agree
hold
with what
on,
Sir Jude because of what Sir Jude
excuse
said.
me,
Yeah, okay.
excuse me. Look, all I'm saying to you is how they learn. I don't know because I've never been to medical school. But with that being said, it is valuable information for a doctor to know. I'll land there.
Like I said, I literally asked you the same question that Sir Jude answered, and then after he gave his remarks, now all of a sudden you want to answer it with his answers. Okay.
Did that woman die? I think we've been talking about this for a couple of days, maybe 2 days. Did that woman actually die in that scenario? I don't remember if she died.
No, no, she lived, she gave birth. He just did that to her before she came out of recovery.
and what have
Okay.
you.
But
Yeah.
he was able to repair it. I was just curious.
Yeah, but he was
Okay.
he is yeah. Dr. Catherine was in here last night. We was
Okay.
talking. We played the audio of it.
What medical school did this happen at? I bet that hadn't been released. Pretty convenient, huh?
It's always convenient for a dumbass like yourself, Bart.
What was the professor's name? Seems like something that traumatic. I would know the name of the professor.
Bart, you was in the room last night when it was being played. You didn't
And
ask
it
one
was
question.
never
Yeah.
said where school this happened at or anything. It sounded like a fucking ad for her
Okay,
business.
Bart.
I mean, I want to know.
Well, you didn't ask
I
those
want to
questions
know what
last night.
school,
Tonight.
but I asked it today. I had
Yeah,
time to think
well,
about it, and nobody's answered me.
Okay, Bart.
Chat
Doesn't matter,
GPT.
Bart. It happened.
Go do your research, Bert.
I don't feel
Go to
like it
Google
because I
and
think it's
then you're
bullshit.
not
Tell me
ready to
what
know.
school, otherwise it didn't happen.
Go research it. If you're not ready to research
That
it, you
I
don't
part.
want to know.
That part.
I I think it should have been a lead in her story.
he said bullshit.
Right.
That's a fact, Billy.
And how do they teach episiotomies? I don't know. Who knows?
Hey,
Is there
I mean,
Cadavers, babe. Cadavers. These people can't be alive and teaching that. That's horrible.
I mean,
That's
I'm just, is
cadavers,
that how
man.
they do it? I don't know. Is there a physician in the room that knows?
I think they're kind of common. I know my
Is
wife.
it common? I don't know if it's common. Your wife got one too?
Yeah, 10 pound baby, first one. They had to stitch her up a
Yeah,
little bit. I gave the doctor
right.
a high five. Thanks for tightening
Yeah,
it
I
up.
had a hit. Mine was 12 pounds 8 ounces. He's a big boy, but he did a good job and he took care of my wife. And I'm glad that the doctor knew how to do it. And so I guess that's valuable skills and techniques that a doctor needs to know. You know. Now,
I'm
if she didn't
thinking
give her
this.
consent,
I'm thinking this lady needed a episiotomy, and this doctor that's so valiant coming out and not saying what school or anything, just making it a plug for her business about how much she cares about her black clients. It's just a little. I mean, say the school, say where you went, say who the doctor was. Don't just like, oh, but when you come to my office, I care about my African American patients.
What's going on right now?
You tell me, Schmakey.
Look at here, crackhead. I'm having my milk and cookies since apparently I'm a big back. So what's going
A
on?
big
big
bag.
back Mickey. You're a big back Mickey.
Big back, big back.
You're a big back. I'm gonna come down there and see
Oh,
what
I
it
do
really
have a
do.
fat
What the hell,
ass.
big back
You
Absolutely.
Mickey?
gotta, and I could put a 12 pounder in you.
Bigger than a
I'll put
Snicker.
I'll put a 12 pounder in the oven for you, baby.
Ew.
Where is this conversation? Good God.
Ah!
What the fuck is
I'm just
going
playing.
on?
Jamal, you think you had something to do with that 12 pound baby?
I know I did. I know I did. I had a couple of them. I've had a couple of them.
Not
Poor
you remembering
Remy.
how big I said my baby was. Oh my God.
You had a
Had a
12
12 pound
pounder?
baby.
No, he was over 10 pounds though. This is the
Ooh.
one that's almost 6'4". Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I've got.
Thank you. This is a country fed child, DJ. I don't know. It's funny. And it was my baby too. My youngest was, I mean, but all of my boys are like 6'2". So this is just happens to be the tallest. Are we talking about babies? Let me go back on mute.
Uh,
Rochelle, you find out what school she went to? Well, what happened?
is a cadaver a dead person?
Cadaver
right?
is a dead
Yes.
person.
That's a
Cadaver.
dead person. A
Cadaver.
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 Oh my
Hey, no,
Not
goodness.
my
see,
A
God.
cadaver. That's a dead person,
Cadaver.
right?
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
facts.
All right.
You
All
thinking of
right. That's what.
Cavender's boots because you was
Yes.
Nah.
going to Beyonce concert.
No, I was thinking of.
Cavenders is a
I was.
spice.
That's a dead
Hey,
person. Yeah,
Jamal.
okay.
You gonna take me to see Beyonce and buy me some new Lucchese boots for the concert?
Wow. Only if I
All
can
right now.
put a 12 pound in.
That's
I'll
a
do it.
fact.
Ah, if I
Well,
can
they do
stick a
have some
12 pound.
$1,200 boots, so okay. No.
Yes, that would be fun, Mickey. That would be fun. Down there in Houston, that would be real fun. I would love it. That sounds like a three
Which
thousand
Mickey
dollar
would
night.
abuse you,
Um,
feller.
that
He'd be
sounds
giving
like a.
About
you the 12 pound
7,000.
baby.
No Diddy
Is
though.
that is
No
that
He'd
a
be
three
Diddy.
giving you
thousand
the
dollar
12
night?
pound
No
baby.
baby oil. No Diddy. No
No
Diddy.
baby oil. No tranks. No tranquilizers or nothing. God,
Oh, not you knowing the
Diddy.
nicknames for the drugs. Oh my goodness.
You know what I've been tripping about listening to this Diddy stuff. They were doing all the time was having sex all day long. That's like they were doing 12-hour sessions.
Sounds exhausting, doesn't it, Jamal? Whoa.
Yeah, that's
Like,
like
ugh.
that's a full-time job. That's
Like,
it's sore after a
who needs
while.
all that?
That it's a lot of chafing. Sounds like a lot of chafing.
Like, fucking
Oh,
Gatorade
shit.
stations around the house to rehydrate or what?
Gotta rehydrate. Gotta rehydrate.
So the funny part is, it's not funny, but people doing IVs, like I actually know people that have that IV solution thing like in their house. So it's relatively easy to get actually,
Well, you
but
know
Don't you
that
I
need,
they
think
got
it's
like,
in
kind of
your
weird.
IV
refrigerator at the
drips.
shop.
You know people
Uh-huh.
who do
You
that.
got it in your
They do
Who are
the
doing?
IV
refrigerator.
drip.
What do they? Why would
Yeah.
you do that though? I mean, is that for
Because
food or?
they no, they do like so I don't know if anybody remembers like in the 2000s those
Nah, we
shots
don't
were
remember that.
popular. Like they get like the vitamin shots and stuff. They go to these what is it? What did they the med spas
B12, the
started
yeah,
B12s.
yeah.
that's it.
That was like a
Misspelled.
really popular trend. I never did it, but that was a really
That's a
popular
cap.
trend
You
with
did it because you talking about it.
no, I just happen to know a lot of other people that did it
Now all
because
of a
I work
sudden you
around
know
them. But
about
trust and
one.
believe,
Get
I
the
wasn't
fuck
doing
out of
that
here.
shit. So, anywho, the IV drip thing is something that's popular with other people. If you don't know what other people are, don't worry, you good. But yes, so they give you like the little what do you call it? The little thingamajiggy you roll around. So they do it to get these nutrients or whatever. But yeah, I because when I thought about that, I was like why would they have gotten that from a doctor? But apparently, you can get like the little saline bags and all of that. So yeah, it's actually like this trendy thing that people are doing. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a lot of sex. I was thinking my 30
You just
minute
went right
session.
back to it, huh? Okay.
That's a lot of sex. I mean, really, you need an IV drip. That's a lot. That's a lot. Because I was thinking 30-minute session was I was doing the most. But damn, to do it till you need an IV drip. Damn. Woo, that's a lot. That's a lot.
I was gonna roast him so bad, but never mind, cause y'all is just demon timed out right now. It's cause
Q. Hey,
yeah.
Q.
I was contemplating on talking shit, but never mind.
I
You
Jesus.
recognize your
doing it till
voice.
you need an IV drip? Is that what's going on over
Oh
there?
my God. Can we move off of that? Literally, no pun intended.
No,
Jamal, does
literally.
that include foreplay?
I mean, that's even that your mouth's gonna be sore. Everything's gonna be sore if you need an IV.
Alrighty, does anyone have any breaking news? Anything else that happened today that we haven't discussed already? Feel free to share.
Hook me up. I'm about dead. Please, somebody hook me up. Oh God, who's
And
putting
more
it?
anti-Trump. Hush, Jamal. Did y'all hear that the FCC approval of Verizon? Did anybody hear about that deal that they acquired Frontier Communications for $20 billion? Okay,
The
so
Wow.
government did. The government did.
no, Verizon.
Yeah.
But here's what
Yeah.
the Trump administration is blatantly doing, and this is why everyone should be concerned. They agreed to end their DEI policies to get the FCC's blessing for the $20 billion frontier deal. This is like a blatant outreach, not outreach, misreach of the agency. So I don't know what the thing is for Trump and this DEI, the veterans, women, minorities, but I'll just read this really quickly. Verizon ended its DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion policies as a condition for the FCC approval of its $20 billion acquisition of Frontier Communications. The FCC, under the direction of Chair Brendan Carr, had expressed concerns about DEI programs and their potential for discriminatory practices. That's funny. Verizon dropped workforce diversity goals in a component of its management compensation plan that included goals for increasing the representation of women and minorities. I don't know what the Trump administration has against DEI, but the fact that they're making major corporations kind of comply to this as a condition for making acquisitions in this country, this is not really going to be pro business at all. So, just to bring it back earlier to what Andrew was saying about how the Trump administration is factoring in a 3 to 4% growth rate for GDP based upon all these overseas deals and all these other countries and companies saying they're going to bring trillions of dollars into the US. Anytime you have these kinds of restrictions or that much government oversight, it's actually been found to kind of hamper um, economic and corporate growth. Just FYI. So this is 2 day old, 4 day old news. So I don't like it. It's bad, bad, bad. So
Well, it sounds like they might be trying to make a little bit of a monopoly because Verizon. Well, you guys remember Ma Bell, how AT&T really controlled the whole market at one time, but Verizon bought MCI. So if they're getting Frontier, that's almost like creating some a bit of a monopoly. Didn't they also get not Sprint? Who was Sprint bought by Verizon also?
Yeah.
I'm
um
not sure.
Sprint, T-Mobile is together. I think
T-Mobile.
T-Mobile
something.
brand.
T-Mobile bought Sprint. Oh, okay, all right. Well, it sounds like they're trying to build a monopoly.
I
Well,
think
I
I
mean,
think that's in. I think that has to do because Cox just merging with Charter, and that will make them the biggest, the largest communication within the country, or let's call it the world.
Well, Mickey, I seen that. I gotta read into it again, but I think Capital One bought Discover, or this, yeah,
No,
Discover card.
no, that was thrown out.
Oh,
mm-hmm.
okay. I couldn't. Okay, I didn't read all the way until I just seen some of it.
It's like 2 days ago. Capital One ended the deal.
I mean, eventually there's going to be one bank, one insurance company, one life insurance company, one everything. Like even what they did with the baby bells, they just made the company split up. Like I ask this question all the time, and just I feel like doing it because I used to do this in my rooms. Does anybody know one of the companies that Standard Oil was broken into, which was Rockefeller's company?
It was broken it down to all
Chevron,
I
companies.
know Q
Chevron.
knows. I'm not giving you anything, Jamal. Yes, I already know Q knows, but that's literally what happened. Exxon as well. So all they do with these conglomerates is they just split up the damn companies. So it's kind of it's not kind of like a joke, but yeah, same thing with baby bells. So shout out to the Rockefellers.
Well, the thing about it is, I think the de-blackening and the of it all is not going to work that long because it's too many of us that are educated on that high of a level, and it's a lot of African Americans in communications. Really, mostly a lot of them graduate in communications, so they're not going to be able to really phase it out.
Hey, did
I
you
don't think.
say de-blackening though? Like, is that a new word?
that's when you say when they say they had to sign an agreement to take away the DEI. I look at that as de-blackening, trying to take some of the blacks out of it, but you can't take them out of it really because they're educated. That's one of the fields that a lot of young blacks go into is communications.
Mickey, would you say that a lot of parents are living through their kids?
Proper
Oh
word
yeah, the
instead of
helicopter parents.
de-blacking it is anti-Semitism.
Yeah, the helicopter parents. I mean, this is so weird. I think this would be a good topic for debate the news one day. Do y'all see like Jaden Daniels' mom? I think that's doing too much, but I don't know. I mean, he's a grown man.
Who is this? A sports
He's a
player or
quarterback in the
something?
NFL. No, the way that like his mom is like, I gotta watch out for these hoes, and I
No,
gotta
I'm
watch
saying
out
who's
for
the
these
per? I don't
hoes.
know if
That's
it's
his
a person. I
manager.
don't know.
That's his manager.
Yeah, but she's also his mom. Like, does she have to show up to all of his events and be his date for everything? I don't know. In terms of these parents living vicariously
To their
through
kids,
their
yeah,
children, that's I don't know.
yeah, that's a bit
I don't
much.
that's a lot. It's a lot.
The kid's 24, and I'm a Commanders fan, so I can speak to this. And I think he's a virgin. I don't think the mom is so on him,
He a
and
virgin?
you know what? I think he might be a virgin. I don't know if you saw that clip online, YouTube video. I don't know who that
Nah.
basketball player basically was, but
That's a hell of a young.
he was
Juju,
sitting.
yes, he was sitting next to
Which
Juju.
was
It was
hitting,
so
and you know what? This
cute.
girl is well. She presents well. She's an athlete. She's about her studies. They were just vibing, having a good time. Next thing you know, the mom basically made her switch seats, sat right in between, and stopped all of that, man. And it's all on national television. And I'm like, oh my Lanta. I mean, and he couldn't do nothing. If he had talked back to his mom, she would have smacked him. And he's the second overall pick of last year's draft, balling
Oh
out
my.
and sensation. I can't even
Y'all
get a
check that. I
female.
believe that was his cousin. Check that.
Is
Who-
Juju
Oh.
That,
Watkins his cousin for
that
real?
was not his cousin.
Check it for me, Mika. I don't have access right now.
Okay, let me look.
There's no
That's
way that was his
crazy
cousin. Not the
though.
way they were vibing. And if it
That's
was his cousin, the
nah. It
mom wouldn't
wasn't
have
his
gotten in
cousin.
like that. The mom wouldn't have gotten in the middle like that.
Nah,
But if he's a
ain't no cousin
virgin
gonna get
at
in the middle like
24,
that.
I think that's commendable.
I'm
I
just
think,
exaggerating. I don't think he's a
Me
virgin, but
too.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But
If he was a virgin at
Oh,
24 and he's a football player like that, that's commendable.
sis, they're not cousins. It says rumors were circulating that their mothers were sisters, but there's no claim to that. Um, unfortunately.
it was
Oh.
the look on the mama's face, though.
Yeah, I mean, only a
She
mom could
cracked
pull
when
a
Michelle
card like
Obama
that.
got in the middle of Barack Obama and that woman. Do y'all remember that? When Barack was kikiing with that woman at where was I think they were at what's his name's funeral, and then Michelle got in the middle. Y'all know that video
Oh
that
yeah, I know
gone
exactly what you're talking
viral.
about. Yeah.
That's what his mama did though. His mama did a Michelle Obama and got in the middle of him.
That's crazy. Mama, you need to fall back. But I get it though, because once the millions hit, anybody can say, "Oh, she's a good girl," and she has a whole different agenda than you never seen before, and she trying to get pregnant or whatever fast as hell. Put them feet up and retire and just I'm
But no,
good.
Juju Watkins is like, Juju is that girl. Like that's
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
once
That's
somebody
a
puts it
perfect
on him, though.
compliment for Jaden. That's a perfect compliment for Jaden. But
I'm
I
not saying
agree,
she ain't
Barry. That was so cute. And here go
Gonna
Mama
lose
just
his
ruining
mind.
their fun. Like, why did she do
right.
that?
But that's
She
what I'm
didn't have to
saying.
Gonna
ruin
Mom
it.
should
lose
She could
his
have
probably
just let
mind.
see
him talk.
past the
You know,
bullshit.
she could have just let him talk, let him vibe, keep an eye out, kind of like survey the situation. She's a black woman, she's playing sports, but if you're gonna basically block her, who is going to be able to get at Jaden to basically continue the lineage? That's the question I
Right.
had after that.
That
That's
ain't
why I
black.
thought it was
I'm
I'm
not
a
cute.
a fan of her
Redskins fan
doing that,
myself.
but
I'm a Redskins fan too, but I didn't know that the dude was like that. But he's gonna lose his mind once he gets some warm, wet, hot. He's gonna lose his
he
goddamn
understand.
mind. Hold on, man. It's
So
gonna mess his game up.
yeah.
It's gonna mess his whole game up.
Why you drinking the Kool Aid right now? You talking about a star athlete since he got into the game, and y'all talk like y'all
No, it ain't
man,
y'all.
y'all
It's
easy,
that's a
bro.
him
Man,
thing. Then
stop it.
keep that over there.
Let me. Hey, what's up, Q? This Jay.
What's good?
Gonna lose
What's
his
good, bro?
mind if he is one.
What's
You-
good, bro?
You're
No,
talking
that's
about
just
a
speculation.
star.
He
Yeah,
is not a virgin. He
theories
probably
is
got
talk,
some
Get
somewhere.
but
some of that Mickey on him. He gonna lose his goddamn
Oh
mind.
my, listen,
I'm gonna
come on,
Oh
I'm
man.
my
just gonna
God.
have to
How
Okay.
old is we in
Relax,
here?
Well, how
relax.
much you
Oh,
want to drive that home? How much more you going? Yeah.
And man,
if
can't
he
I
do
haven't
it. Can't
received the
do it.
Cash App, I already had to
he made
address
one
this
joke
early.
and
Sir,
can't let it go.
please.
Can't
He
do
made
it.
one
He
joke and
gonna
can't let it go.
lose his
Jesus.
mind. Oh my bad. Go Q. Go ahead, Q.
Nah, I'm just laughing at. I don't know who he is. I'm just saying he made one joke and stuck on it. You see, you gotta let that one go, King.
Hey, Q, I want to tell you, I think I told Jonathan about you. That night I woke up, hey, you my guy, dude. When you get over here, you got a follower. I was telling Jonathan how you was like, hey, man. I woke up, and you was telling the guy, hey, man, you know whose room this is? You acting like this your room.
Oh, you talking about like the other night? What was that? 2, 3 nights ago?
Yeah.
Oh, he came in here. Brady just came in here and just started talking. He said, "I seen this face like this. I felt like I just had to give my word." I said, "Well, damn, make your own room or something." We come in here dominating shit. He just want to talk about what he want to talk about. Yeah, funny as hell. Nah, it's all good.
If we get too bad, then Jonathan's like, hey, 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 hey. I'm over here trying
Right.
to do some work.
Knowing his head knocked out, working
We
on his
get
dreams.
busted. Hey, hey, hey.
I'm sitting here listening to y'all. That's what he says.
That's
You
exactly
Shirley
what.
did it so good. Say it again, say it again, say it again.
Guys, I'm sitting here listening to y'all. Guys, somebody take care of that on Clubhouse.
Come on, Marge. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Folks, listen.
Come
Folks,
on, folks.
guys.
But man, y'all grown, man. So I have to keep telling y'all this every day.
We being good today.
We do have. I'm putting together the DTN awards. Did y'all hear about it? Mm-mm.
No, that
Mm-mm.
sounds fun.
Is that chat saying that? It is. Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I haven't heard about it though. Why you not over here? Anywho, don't do that. Don't do that. But yeah, if you
But
can
you in
come
Texas?
on chatter tomorrow, and we're gonna talk about it. What'd you say, John?
Say you in Texas too, ain't you?
Yes, sir. H Town.
You in Houston? And all y'all is goddamn. All y'all in Houston.
I'm from here, born and raised.
All right, all right.
I'm from This Atlanta, is my
Mm.
city.
Oh Lord, Lord, Lord. I tell
Hmm.
you,
You come here,
I'll
you
be
hang
in
out
there.
with
So
me. If you
yeah, I
do,
got.
you'll see. Not a place I go out here.
Yeah, I got a daughter down there in Houston. She lived down there, worked down there. But yeah, I've been through there a couple times. But every time I go, I just go and get out. I go and get out. But
We're sure you
now
do, Jamal. We're sure
I
you do.
I be in and out so quick. But I know I got some friends. My daughter gets mad at me quick. She'll get mad at me. But
I wonder why.
that's
How
another
many of us
story.
have been?
Why don't you stop hitting on her friends? That's probably it.
Oh, that's
I'm a,
interesting.
no, 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 no. I'm good. I'm revived. I'm a good man now.
Well, you might need to go longer than 30 minutes.
You know what? 30 minutes was I didn't.
What is
I wasn't.
30
Oh
I
minutes?
hell
wasn't going
no.
for an IV drip.
Please stop bringing that back
I
up,
wasn't
man.
trying to do the IV drip. I
What is
just,
happening? Jamal, you got your pants on?
You a good
Hey,
man
listen.
now, but you used to hit on her friends, is what you saying?
Look at Billy. That's my girl.
You revived, and so now you don't do it. Got it.
Nah, that's out of pocket all the way. That's
Just messing with
crazy.
you.
Have y'all? So I see y'all haven't talked about the Tory Lanez updates, right?
I'm s- I'm so I don't know what's going on no more. It's just too much. Catch me up on what's happening now. I hear the girl that's supposed to be was innocent, or Megan's friend actually did shoot her and not Tory, but I'm lost beyond that. I don't know.
Is there an update since we talked about it, chat? At some
Mm-mm.
point? Oh, okay.
No, no, nothing really. I just know we haven't talked about it on the podcast yet.
The Mexican, the only
Oh,
last I heard, he was in a visiting room and he was trying to talk to one of the Mexican guy's wives. That's the last I heard, and that was the reason why he got stabbed. On something like
Oh
that. It was
yeah, I
something.
know more about that side. I don't. I thought you were talking about the case as far as the what's going on with him and Meg and stuff. But the stabbing stuff, I know about.
Please tell us
No,
why he got stabbed.
did he get out of the hospital? Is what I was trying to find.
That's
I
one thing. I
think
don't
he's
know if he's
still in
still
the
in.
hospital.
Yeah, I don't know if he's at
But
the
there was
hospital
a
yet.
Florida representative that called for his freedom. And did y'all see that Meg finally had enough and cussed him out on her IG, called him a demon and everything? So she didn't listen to the Beyonce school of never respond to your haters. I don't listen
Right.
either, but I feel bad for Meg because they just need to leave that child alone.
Right. But I thought it was wasn't it? Well, wasn't it somebody that was? I thought they was asking for his freedom, or she was. I must have didn't read that right.
Hi, I'm Ronnie.
All right, welcome
Oh,
back
go
here
ahead,
to
play.
Why
Oh,
I'm
you
an
got it. Is that a video or something? Go ahead. I don't know who
Mr.
Ronnie
Daystar
is.
Peterson's case, professionally known as Tory Lanez. Recently, we've been made aware that a member of the media, Mr. Gianno Caldwell, was working on an op-ed for the New York Post regarding Mr. Peterson's innocence. During his work on that op-ed, he became aware of some information in Unite the People's possession regarding a statement that was given to Unite the People by someone with information relevant to that case. The New York Post recently reached out to the prior district attorney, George Gascon, uh, Megan Pete and her representatives, and Kelsey Harris and her representatives. The only party that responded last week was Megan Pete's representatives with a request for more information. A few days later, Mr. Peterson's brutally attacked in his jail cell. Unite the People represents Daystar Peterson in his appellate process. We filed an appellate brief and a writ of habeas corpus on his behalf. The district attorney's office has already responded. The case is fully briefed. We're just waiting for the appellate court's decision. We were willing to wait for the appellate process to play out, but given that brutal, unprovoked attack, we felt it necessary to come here today to provide you with this information. It is our intention to make a request to the governor to either pardon or commute the sentence of Mr. Peterson, so that when he recovers from this attack, he's not returned to a jail cell, but that he's allowed to go home and recover. Not
Yeah,
long ago, Unite the
they
People
might let
was
him out.
approached by a gentleman named Bradley James. Mr. James informed us he was working as the bodyguard and driver for Ms. Kelsey Harris during Mr. Peterson's trial. As such, he was in close proximity and he had privy to conversations she was having with her husband and others. Mr. James informed us he was not under a non-disclosure agreement or a confidentiality agreement and was free to speak with Unite the People, and that he was doing it because his conscience would not let him not speak and leave a man in prison for something he did not do. Mr. James informed Unite the People that he was a witness to the conversation Miss Harris had where she stated she had the gun, she fired it 3 times, Mr. Peterson grabbed her arm and knocked it down, and the gun fired 2 more times. In essence, Mr. Peterson never shot anybody, never even touched that gun, never fired the gun. This statement aligns with the statement of the only non-party witness to the case, Mr. Sean Kelly, who at trial testified he saw two women fighting, two men break up the fight, one man grabbed the other one's arm, gunshots came from the passenger side. The passenger side is where Miss Harris was sitting. This further iterates that Mr. Peterson did not shoot Miss Pete, did not shoot at Miss Pete, or did not assault Miss Pete. It's just another irregularity in a list of irregularities in this case. For example, there were three potential suspects in the car that night, and yet the only DNA sample was taken of Mr. Peterson, even though unknown DNA was found on the gun. Why wasn't Miss Harris's DNA taken? Or was it taken and the information simply never given to the defense? Why wasn't the driver of the car, Mr. Jaquan Smith's DNA taken? Or was it taken and again, simply not given to the defense? We don't know. It should have been taken. It is Unite the People's understanding, regular LAPD practice at a crime scene like that. Anybody who's there, the DNA is taken.
I'll tell you one thing that the jail, the prison has a responsibility to keep him protected, and the fact that he was stabbed 14 times like that, he's got a federal case. You know, I've been paid uh, through the jail not protecting me, and I got
You
over
been to jail too,
$3 million.
Jamal? God
I got
damn.
$3 million from being attacked in
Where you
jail.
get $3 million? When?
Why you say it like that? Like you been through everything.
Years ago, it was years ago. I ran
You
through
still
that
got some
money.
money?
I ran through that money quicker than a rat
Oh
runs
damn.
through
All
You know
right.
he ran through
cheese.
that shit.
No. The point of what I'm saying is that he is supposed to be protected by law by the prison, and so they're gonna let him out probably because they already failed to hold that part of it. You follow me? And so they're going to end up. That'll be part of the settlement, and the $1 million, a couple of million, they're going to give him too. They're going to give him some money. I'll land right there.
No, no.
But Jamal, if just getting stabbed in prison would facilitate you getting released, wouldn't everyone just be stabbing each other in prison all day long?
No, that's not it. What's going to facilitate it is the evidence that the dude just read off. That along with him getting stabbed is going to be what to get him probably at least an ankle bracelet, I would imagine, and he'd be
Right.
at home because they got an obligation to protect him while he's in there. You know what I
That's
mean?
when you go a public
And
figure.
plus the fact that he's they don't really have the evidence, and it's probably a miss. It's going to be that it's not coming all together, and the fact that they damn near killed him on top of that, he's going to probably end up. He I wouldn't be surprised if he got out and really got paid too.
I don't think I ever heard of somebody except for you getting stabbed and then getting released early.
They
Like
didn't have it wasn't the part about what the brother was reading about. uh they didn't take the DNA evidence of the other occupants in the car and all of that stuff. That's what's going to be the case to get him out, on top of the fact that they can't protect him while he's in there. You follow me? That's what's
so,
going to get him out.
so is it the evidence or the stabbing? Because I don't think the
The
stabbing has
evidence,
anything to
not
do
the
with it.
stabbing, not
Oh,
the
okay.
stabbing. The stabbing is going to get him some money. That's what's going to get him. He'll get some money from the lawsuit that he files for them not protecting him while he's in there, because there's guards and shit around there that's supposed to be protecting you while you're in there.
And did y'all even know the history of the Mexican that stabbed him? His background. That man history is long, and he's known for stabbing people. I think he killed two people before he came to jail. Went to jail. The Mexican that stabbed him, and supposedly the reason why he did stab him was because uh, he had his people, his girl, come see him in jail, and I guess Tori was in the same vicinity, and she said that, oh, that guy was trying to flirt with me, and he approached him like, hey man, don't talk to my girl or whatever, how folks, y'all men be, and whatever, whoop the whoop, and so later on, bro hit him up about that shit, it is what it is, but he's already known for stabbing people and killing people, so it wasn't new to him to, I mean, I doubt he even knew who Tory Lanez was.
Yeah, because that guy has a life. He already
Yeah,
has
exactly.
life. Yep.
But high value celebrities definitely are always protected, and most of them you can still be in gym pop. But with Tory, when you because jail, they do the politics with the skin color and everything. So when you a rich guy in jail and you starting to feed the blacks and beef up the security with them and everything and pay people off, you become a threat too as well. So you ain't because everybody you still got to stick with your own race when you in jail. You ain't just hanging with everybody.
All right, guys, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a hard reset over on CH, guys, and come right back. Clinton, I want definitely want to help have. Hopefully, you help handle this last part right here. So we're gonna go ahead and do a hard reset real quick, guys. If you're listening at home, that means that the other episode will be coming out. Another episode will be coming out later on today. So with that being said, we're gonna do this reset. Thank you.